So let me get this straight. While we're being lied to about a pandemic and spiraling the economy into oblivion and scaring parents into sending their children back to school, we've got rioters tearing down and burning our cities to the ground. Fox News and the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media are worried about Ellen DeGeneres is mean and we got the stories and the proof. Who gives a flip if Ellen DeGeneres is mean? Okay, I am no lover nor supporter of the politics of Ellen DeGeneres. And I get it. I get that she is trying to set this narrative that despite her alternate lifestyle choice, that she is this sweet, innocent, perpetually friendly and thoughtful individual, and she has crafted her entire career around that image, from her TV show to her stand-up comedy to her daily talk show. But now all of a sudden, we're getting these breaking stories that she's rude. Why, when she hosted the Oscars, she didn't even say hello to her own bodyguard. And Brad Garrett, who played the big brother on Everybody Loves Raymond, let me just say, I love the TV show Everybody Loves Raymond, and I thought Garrett did a great job as the older brother, and I think that there were scenes that he absolutely stole from Ray Romano. I think they were incredibly funny together. But when he tweets out it was common knowledge how rotten Ellen is to people and it's a toxic work environment, after all, I should know. I was interviewed on her show like 6 times. Okay, let me get this straight. You went on a show that you found out the host was not as she appeared to be, that she was actually very rude, nasty, and rotten to people, and why some stars are even saying if you were an A-list star, you got better treatment on her show and more time and a better dressing room than if you weren't an A-list star. Yeah. Yeah. I guess where I'm going with all of this is, who cares? And who cares? I mean, there are all kinds of reports that so many of these movie stars and personalities that in real life, they're really obnoxious people. There's all kinds of stories that Kevin James has been rude to wait staff at restaurants. Okay, we all know that Robert De Niro is a prick. We just know that. Some of it has to do with the fact that, these people are under the pressure all day long to live up to an image, and that's a tough thing to do. Some of it is they're just pricks. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't know why this is not only shocking to people. It isn't like she, that we know of, has raped anyone on a pedo island, or brought presidents there to share in the spoils with her like Bill Clinton. It isn't like, she had a private internet provider and service so that nobody could see what she was doing online, where, illegally receiving monies from foreign governments to then provide them with political favors. It isn't like she was ramping up the intelligence community to illegally spy on a presidential campaign and then for 3 years set a news narrative that a sitting president had been working hand in hand with the Russians to pull down the American way of life. It isn't like she actually engaged in any, quote, illegal activity. She's really sweet on TV and she's not sweet in real person. Okay, and again I say, so what? Don't watch her TV show. Don't be a guest on her TV show. Don't hope that she says something about you in her social media platforms that gives your career a boost. Don't want anything from her. But what is it now that they're going to trash her and take her down, and the media is obsessing about this like they are even these parents of that paid all this money and got their kids into Ivy League schools who couldn't pass a basic reading and comprehension test. You know, I think we all have kind of figured out that really rich people have pulled a lot of strings for their own kids through the years. This is shocking to anyone. This is news, really. Do we really think that George W. Bush got into college on his own? That it wasn't because of who his daddy was? We really think that a lot of these people, whether or not they outright bribed a school to take their kid, you give millions of dollars to build a building, and then they say, oh, by the way, I want you to take my kid. Okay. We really don't think that stuff happens? Come on. Grow up. The question is, why does the media obsess about this? Why do they focus on this? They're hoping to distract you with this. They're hoping that you won't start asking the real questions, like why are the real criminals like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, James Comey, why are these people walking around? Why is Bill Clinton not in jail right now? Everybody knows he was involved with Epstein and on Pedo Island more than once. The crimes of George W. Bush of lying us into a war and the way that he and Cheney personally profited from it. The Bush crime family. And we're worried about Roger Stone. We're worried about Ellen DeGeneres. Or I should say Ellen the Degenerate. We're worried about Martha Stewart maybe trading on an inside investment tip. Come on. Seriously. Look at what we're really facing right now. We have a presidential candidate who has all the clear indication and signs of dementia and Alzheimer's, who is absolutely mentally not fit to be the president. And yet we've got the media covering up, we've got the media carrying his water, and by the way, if Bill Clinton was on Pedo Island, why do I have a feeling Joe Biden wasn't far behind? Now, we know that he's got a woman problem. Nobody wants to talk about that. Why, he just announced this week he's almost ready to make his VP pick. He can smell her now. And he can't remember where he is. He doesn't really know what's going on. He's living in a bunker basement. He's never going to debate Donald Trump because he's mentally not up to it. And yet this is the guy we're watching all of the forces that be, including the Never-Trumpers and the Rhino, rally behind, and they want to drag across the finish line to replace Donald Trump. We're lied to every day by that little runt Fauci Stein, the evil love child of Dr. Kevorkian. I mean, now the guy wants us to wear goggles. Goggles? What are we supposed to be, Devo? Next we'll be wearing, raincoats. Why don't we just put on the hazmat suit? Heck, why don't we just put on life-size, full-size prophylactics and walk around that way? And I've gotten in more arguments in the past 48 hours when I'm told, put your mask on. No. You can't come in here without it. Watch me. I am over the top with all of this nonsense. We are being lied to. There's now an article out authored by Fauci's staff at his health institute in 2005 where they were singing the praises of hydroxychloroquine and why it was a great treatment for viral infection. And now all of a sudden, Fauci is making it sound like if you swallow one of those pills, you're guaranteed to die, that it will exasperate COVID-19. Now, why would he say that? Is he trying to sell us a vaccine? Is Bill Gates trying to chip us so that we know who's been tested and who hasn't and where you've been and what you've been up to and what you're spending your cashless money on? We're watching our country become a socialist totalitarian state. And we're talking about if Ellen DeGeneres is rude to people. We're even distracted by the NBA. They have Black Lives Matter painted on the gym floor. Yeah, don't watch it. I'm not. There's no fans there. There's no point. I am watching Major League Baseball. They did the whole BLM thing one day. One day, They're over it. They don't talk about it. They don't reference it. They stand for the national anthem. And the Mets, in their home opener, not only did both the Mets and the Atlanta Braves stand, all of them, for the national anthem, during the seventh inning stretch, they sang God Bless America. It was great. It was patriotic. It was wonderful. So I am watching baseball. All of this diversion, this bread and circuses nonsense. And now we're watching them really try to steal an election by making it mail-in only. I read this off of somebody's Facebook page. I thought I'd share it with you. Let's face it. It's safe enough to mail tax refunds, Social Security checks, stimulus checks, driver's licenses, Social Security cards, prescription drugs, passports, and voter registration ID cards, but it's not safe enough to vote by mail? Let me respond to that. First of all, most of the so-called checks, whether they be your refund at tax time, your stimulus, etc., 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 most of us get direct deposit. We don't actually touch a tangible paper check anymore. It goes right into the bank. Driver's licenses, prescription drugs. I receive a monthly delivery of a particular vitamin that my wife needs, and our local pharmacy doesn't always have that particular vitamin in stock. I found a way to get it shipped to her directly every single month, and UPS brings it, not the post office. FedEx brings a lot of this stuff, not the post office. Have you ever known the post office to get anything to you ever on time? Okay, they're going to mail you your driver's license. It's not like they said, it'll be here tomorrow. No. They give themselves 24 hours to a 6-month window of time to get you stuff. When something is, time is of the essence, like it would be in an election, do we actually think the post office is going to get these ballots to you and in for processing on time? No, not even close. Nobody believes that. Case in point, in my area, we do a mailing every Monday to our church members, letting them know things going on, events. We've had to do this since the whole COVID hogwash, and some of our people don't feel safe in coming back to service, and some of them don't even really do the online thing. So to make sure they're kept aware of everything going on, we've gone a little old school and gone back to a hard copy weekly newsletter that gets mailed out every Monday. I didn't mail out this Monday's newsletter. Why? Because nobody has received last Monday's newsletter yet. See, I live in one city, and our mail gets sent over an hour away to Detroit to get processed there to come back to my city. And I have people telling me all the time, Pastor, the stuff that you sent out to us in May, we didn't get till the middle of June. I have a family that came up to me Sunday and said that the announcement postcard that we sent out about things we were going to do for Memorial Day weekend, they just got in the mail this past week. So do I really think the post office is going to be able to handle 200 million voting ballots? No. But let me turn this person's argument back on them. Now let me reread their argument. Well, let's face it. It's safe enough to mail tax refunds, Social Security checks, stimulus checks, driver's licenses, yada, yada, yada. Why isn't it safe enough to mail in a ballot? Well, same argument. It's safe enough to go to Costco, Home Depot, Walmart, Kroger, Publix, Winn-Dixie, wherever, the drive-through. Why isn't it safe to stand in line and vote in person? But of course, nobody's thinking that right now. We're too worried about the fact that Ellen, the degenerate, is mean to people. We're being lied to. We are being hit with nothing but never-ending propaganda day in and day out and day in and day out. Fauci is a fraud and ought to be in jail. Over the weekend, Brexit, the scarf woman, said something unkind about her boss, the president. And of course, the president basically says, well, she had to say that because Nancy Pelosi goaded her into it. This is just awful. No, Mr. President, Fauci, Brax, the CDC, all of them, none of these people are for you. None of these people are for the American people. Do you not understand, Mr. President? They have backed you into a corner where if you attack them, they make you look like the villain. They make you look like you reject science, like you don't know what you're talking about. When you support them, they just keep knifing you in the back. They are not your friend. Get rid of them. Because at the end of the day, we are looking for the man that we voted for 4 years ago who didn't care what the media said about him or thought. So stop worrying what the media is going to say about you when you kicked Fauci to the curb. We got your back. In fact, we will love you even more. More than we want a wall right now, we want the masks gone. We want the mandates gone. We want the country open, wide open. Today, Fox News on their website ran an article. Kids can now get coronavirus. Here we go. They're part of the lying legacy, corporate, corrupt mainstream media. They're part of the propaganda. They wanted a report on kids at a YMCA camp in North Carolina that sometime back in June they went to overnight camp. There was like 300 between campers and staff. And about 100 kids have tested positive for corona. And do you know what happened? It's because they were, I'm not kidding, yelling and singing. Yelling and singing. And again, no context is provided for anything. They say 100 kids have tested positive. Are they sick? Are they in the hospital? Are they being medically treated? Or are they just being quarantined, put under house arrest, and isolated because they tested positive? Do you get it in your head at all that 99.8% of the people who get this will live? Look at California right now. They're in re-lockdown. And yet there's a pastor out there, Dr. John MacArthur, who has led the charge and he has refused to close his church again. Good for him. God bless him. He and I disagree on the doctrine of Calvinism, but overall, John MacArthur preaches the gospel. He's a faithful servant of the Lord. He's a very good Bible commentator, teacher. And, you know, he put some of the California numbers this past Sunday in context. He said, we have 8,000 deaths in our state. There's 40 million people. Do the math. He said, by the way, of the 8,000 who died, over 4,000 of them were elderly who died in nursing homes. And I make the case that the people dying in nursing homes are not simply dying because they're old. They're old. They obviously, many of them have already extenuating health issues. They are cut off from loved ones, family members. They are despondent. They are without hope. They are without comfort and peace. And all of that plays into your body being able to be strong or weak, healthy or sick. Not to mention, I am convinced, especially after an experience I'm going through with a family member who has been fine, and now they have tested positive after they had to report to school. Were on a campus closed and locked down for 2 weeks to make sure they weren't bringing the virus in. And then as soon as the 2 weeks was up and they had to wear a face mask on that campus everywhere they went, when their activities began to resume, they all tested positive, and now they're all in isolation and quarantine. Because the mask and being in isolation, and then you bring in outside people, your immune system is down, and you have created with the mask and the quarantine an incubator. Bum, ba-dum, bum. But we're worried about Ellen DeGeneres. We're worried about this nonsense. We're watching Portland, Chicago, and other cities look like the Middle Eastern news footage that we see on the evening news. But we're worried about Ellen DeGeneres. The president's being vilified on every front, and none of the Republicans are coming forward to fight on his behalf. Wake up. Wake up. Refuse the mask. Refuse it. Push back. Refuse it. Refuse the social distancing. Live life. Make them change it back. Because you know there is a political agenda at work here. Don't let them win. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Do appreciate you. Hope you had a great weekend. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video to your social media platforms. Smack the bell and click the word all to get notification of my next rant.